All right. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode number 83 of my weekly GEMP game review series. I am your host, Chris Gogolin. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. Hope everybody's enjoying their Memorial Day holiday, at least in America. Um, I don't know, you European players certainly don't have that holiday. Um, let's see if this worked. Oh, I don't have access to do that. Okay. Okay. So we're certainly closing in on the end of the month for the OCS. We've got 6 days left. Well, coming up on 5 days left now. Take a quick look at the old leaderboard. Still plenty of quarantine leagues. We're in week number 9. Hard to believe already. Excuse me. All Stars already qualified, sitting in the first spot. Shaw looks to be a solid qualifier for this month. J Knapp already qualified, sitting in slot number 3. So that could create an at-large bid. There are still some people here. Myers is right here. If he wins, he would get up to 32, and then it's going to come down to win percentage, depending on who he plays and how some of his other opponents have done. Uh, Echo Base Trooper could also win his last 2 games and get to 32. He's got a higher win percentage. Some of these guys down here can get to 30. We got a nice little clump down here. There's Lorfic. This is 7-1. So he could actually get into the 34s and push some people down. Same thing with Brian Fred here at 7-1. Could also, if he wins the last 4 games, could get into this 34s. They could both get in there and could possibly bump Shaw down. So still a lot of things that could happen over the next couple of days here. Some people might have trouble finding their last few games over the last 4 days, 5 days left. Taco Bill sitting down here at 6-1. He's also in position. He needs 5 more games, as does Silver Glen. So both these guys would need to make a run and go 5-0 to finish up the month. And then anybody on this side of the board either hasn't played enough games yet or is already going to have a couple of losses and not be in a position to get to the top this month. Still in position to move up the standings and keep themselves alive for the at-large bids. Remember, there are 2 guaranteed at-large bids. Turner is 5-0. Hey, look at that. All the way down here on the bottom. I thought he was in here with these 7s. You're right, he is 5-0. So he's got to play 7 more games in the next 5 days. I've seen stranger things happen. Thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Werf. Certainly don't mean to slight Mr. Turner. 5-0's off to a great start. Now he just has to win 6 of his next 7 games to get into the mix up here at the top and keep himself alive. Chances are he might run into some of these other people along the way who are looking to squeeze out their last couple of games. Some of these guys are going to try and obviously get the 12 just to get the foil. He could pick up some games there from them. A few of these guys over here might be trying to get to 8 games to at least get themselves the foil. Oh, yeah, you better get busy, Mike. Games always get a little harder to find sometimes. It seems like this month, too. They've been a little harder to come by, especially because of all the quarantine leagues, and you got the Boonta Eve Jawa Brawl going on now. Um, Batmouse is still running his weekend where his single day tournaments. So there's a lot of other competition right now. This is the North Cal League. So there's a lot of other competition for people playing games rather than just being online available to play OCS games. I've had tables sit up there for 15, 20 minutes before I have to take it down because I realize I can't play. I won't have enough time to get the game in. So, but the other big news that I will share, well, first off, I want to take a minute and I want to say thank you to everybody who reached out to me last week. It all started the same way. Hey, I only watched the first 5 minutes of your video, but you seemed a little off. Wanted to reach out and make sure you were doing well. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am doing well. It was just a very rough day. Obviously, I will say it, some shit went down with the PC store. Um, that just completely soured my mood and ruined uh, everything I did last weekend, which was 12 hours of work. Not everything. It was 12 hours of work that I put in last weekend, updating a whole bunch of stuff, and then to have the store break Sunday night, Monday morning, basically meant I spent all this holiday 3-day weekend fixing all that. Um, so thank you everybody who checked in on me, wanted to just lend a supportive ear and whatnot, and give me a pat on the back. I always appreciate it. And I'm a little concerned because obviously everybody kept saying the same thing. Hey, I only watched the first 5 minutes of your show, but why are you only watching the first 5 minutes of my show? It gets better, I promise. It's like one of those. It's like The Office. You got the first episode or two. Like, you got to warm up. You got to get into it more. Um, but in all seriousness, I do appreciate that. Thank you guys very much. 4 or 5 different people all reached out to me. And obviously a few other people who've been involved in this store update process. It's all done. Now I just have to wait for the web team to turn it back on because apparently my admin abilities don't give me the permission necessary to do that. Only the web team. So I guess one of those guys will flip the switch and turn the store back on, and you can see the literally thousands of new cards that are available for sale at updated market prices. Um, and there are some good ones in there. A lot of good stuff. I love every set now has a plethora of stuff in stock. The things I did not get to, we don't have complete sets. I don't have time to build those. And the common, uncommon sets, that was the one project I did not have time to update this week. So we'll uh, we'll have to work on that and get that updated over the next week or two. Um, but yeah, thousands of new cards in stock. Uh, if you're in the market, there is a couple of Jedi Luke foils in there. There's an Emperor foil in there. There's some Darth Maul Young Apprentice. I think there's even a couple of AIs that I remember putting in there. Lots of good utility interrupts. Lots of trying to finish out some sets where we got all the cards for that too. Um, there's accelerates and were you looking for me's and all that kind of good stuff floating around in there. And Yoshi, thank you for renewing your subscription, month number 17. It's hard to believe we've been doing this whole Twitch streaming thing now for a year and a half. But yeah, we really have. We've had some great content along the way. I've done 83 episodes of this weekly show. I'm not going to catch up to Monday Night Raw anytime soon in terms of weekly episodics, but give me 15 more years and we'll see what happens. But now we've got Bastion doing his new show. I don't know if you guys happened to catch that yesterday. That's already moved over to the YouTube channel, so you can certainly check it out there. But he's doing some, high level deck strategy stuff, and he'll be getting into deck building a little bit in a future episode. But he's done 2 episodes so far, and they seem to have been pretty successful. I caught bits and pieces. I was listening to it while I was doing some inventory the other yesterday. Um, so it seemed like he was off to a good start. And of course, we got the Hollow Theater show on Wednesdays. They always have some interesting guests on, and I don't know who they got. They said who they had lined up for this week. I think it's uh, somebody to do with the next V set. They're gonna be talking to one of the designers, I think, um, about that. So. Yeah, we got plenty of good content. 17 months we've been doing this stuff now. Whew, where does the time go? Um, we're in our third year of the OCS. And the way things are going, the OCS might be our only major tournaments this year. I don't know how we're going to do Worlds online. I don't see that working. Goss, he's lead designed the set. Oh, yeah, they did say that because they couldn't pronounce his name. That should have been the spelling challenge. Spell Goss's name. Uh, So let's see if we don't have any active games going on right now, and I haven't gotten any good game links from you guys in a while. That's the other thing too. Feel free to send me some of those if you have any interesting game links we can look at. Hopefully, some of these games get picked up here. Maybe we'll get some of these. Maybe we'll get a classic game we can look at. We haven't really looked at some of these alt formats in a little while. Um, but until then, we've got these guys playing open, no shields. What's the point? You're gonna play with all the cards and all the broken cards. Have fun. If that's the format you want to play in, be my guest. But that's just all the obnoxious and annoying NPE stuff. Uh, Beggar frozen assets, draw their fire, beatdowns, inserts, and numbers and anger, fear, aggressions, and pod racing and revolutions and ugh, no thank you. You can keep that. He was the brains behind No Idea as well. So he's the one we have to blame for making all 25 of those characters all work really well together. No, I mean, it's a good objective. It probably came in a little too hot. It got, and then it got some help, which maybe wasn't necessarily needed. Now it's been tweaked a little bit to tone it back down, but I think it's still a little too up at the top of the power curve for I'm always a fan of the new decks coming in on the lower end and getting built up over a set or two. When the new deck like map comes in and it's guns blazing and it's like everybody's playing it right away because it's just so broken, that's not fun. That's not good design. That's just my personal opinion. Uh, it's kind of one of the things after the reset when I was, uh, you know, on the development team and kind of steering things, trying to keep things from getting out of control too quickly. That was my philosophy and my approach. I was definitely on the conservative side in that aspect of it, keeping a tight grip on the reins. Uh, not letting us get right back to the point we just were at with Legacy. So, um, obviously you got to loosen things up a little bit at some point in time, and the design team's done a good job the last couple sets. But yeah, sometimes things come in a little too hot, and they got to be brought back down. It happens all the time. I mean, games that spend thousands of dollars hiring card designers do it too. Magic and Hearthstone, constantly putting out new sets and new expansions, and then you see errata a month later where they tone a card right back down. So nobody gets it right the first try, and it's how you respond to that. And I think we do a good job of not doing knee-jerk reactions, but just making adjustments where they're necessary. You're gonna send one my way that's legendary. Yeah, so I said I managed to finish my OCS games this week, get all those in while I was simultaneously updating inventory in the store. Certainly did not make the most optimal decisions. Anyone who watched my game versus Dan Tartaglione, there were certainly a couple of kerfuffles that we both were just laughing about for how horrible it made us look with some of the plays we made. But I did manage to win that game. What I did not manage to do was survive Chris Kelly blowing up my Death Star, which he did last night. Um, I'm going to assume he had the sense in hand. Chris, you had the sense in hand when you deployed the Falcon? We'll wait for him to catch up in the chat. Meanwhile, Werfs tried to teach someone that folly. Oh, God, Werfs, I don't know why you would want to. Unless you're just trying to show them how horrible and broken it is. Use Darkside Senate pod racing. Yeah, that's about what you would expect. Between all the broken senators, the broken light side Senate pod racing is probably worse because their senators are even more obnoxious, I think, than the dark side ones. Um, but yeah, I mean, pod racing, if you're using Watto's box to do 11 damage and retrieve everything, that's just crazy. Your one effect you start could be Bad Feeling Have I or something instead and make all their guys deploy a billion. Yeah, so open no shields, not the most fun format. You really have a very twisted sense of the game to enjoy that format. No, but you did have a barrier canceller. Okay, so yeah, I figured when you threw the sense away to the next force drain, I'm like, did he just draw that, or did he already have it in hand? In which case, it didn't matter. And then I saw you draw the barrier canceller for Battle Destiny, and I was like, did I really miss an opportunity? I'm like, I couldn't have missed that opportunity. There's no way he would have set all that up to just let me drop Baron with cannons and shoot it down like that. Although you would have just flipped then, I guess, and stopped me from shooting. So That's why Legend is a little silly. I'd be okay with Legend's flip side stopping weapons if it stopped all weapons. The fact that light side can still use weapons feels a little too good for me, but again, I digress. That's my conservative approach to power creep. Uh, Turner hasn't seen a ton of no idea since the MPC. Well, it's because you haven't finished playing all your OCS games. I know I played against it at least twice this month. 2 out of my 6 games, I think, were no idea. The rest were throne room and legend uh, type decks. I think it was all throne room legend or throne room hitco legend. I'm sorry. Light side mains decks, throne room hitco legend, and then no idea. And I know somebody just did a breakdown on that this week that light side has won like 60 something percent of the games, and these are the 4 decks they've all been using to be winning all those games. Um, Legend is slow though. Legend does get off to a slow start because they do have to take time to pull their location and get Luke out and kind of do the whole thing. Um, but they find ways to do that. I mean, if you're playing like IE troopers with occupation and whatnot, yeah, I mean that. But then again, that deck steamrolls over just about every deck, unless you can find ways to disrupt them and cancel their occupation or something like that. You're going to be in a world of hurt when you're facing 3 or 4 and 4 strains and 5 or so, uh, from occupation damage on like turn 2 or turn 3. That deck has gone through 3 erratas and still seems to pop up in every once in a while. But now there just happens to be better options for dark side that they don't necessarily need to play that between ISB or these ISB troopers, the regular ISB, the Tadigawa, because it's not really deal with the aliens, which are super cheap, or the troopers running around Cloud City. Um, we've obviously seen SSA starts, whether it's just like a 2-0 location, something. Um, Bring Him Before Me feels like the deck that's going to be the next one to really take advantage of that, especially with if there is a lot of throne room still going on. Um, that would seem to me make the most sense. Hitco's a little harder because you can't capture Luke right away, but if you do it right, Bring Him Before Me can easily win 2 battles. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's no, that's not going to work. Never mind. Echo based trooper stats. Yeah, Adam had some stats. No idea. It was 21% of the April OCS, is 12% of the May OCS so far. So it's been less popular. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure like I said, I'm sure the light side's probably steering really heavy towards Throne Room Hitco Legend. It feels like Dark Side is pretty Black Sun heavy. Court is still a thing, and obviously those decks do well against Court. Uh, as we've seen from what Bastion was reviewing some games where he was running Legend against crap. He was played against Huntdown and stuff too, but so all right. Let's see what we got. Just because I'm curious, I want to see. You know what? I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. It's Jake too. I don't like watching Jake's games because yeah, I don't like playing Jake's games either. Just that's just my opinion, but he has a tendency to just quit when things don't go his way, like turn 2. Yeah, ISB is real popular. That's probably one of the top 3 dark decks right now. Probably Black Sun ISB and maybe the aliens, the deal, one version of deal. I don't know. IE still seems really good. Court's not bad. Endor Ops could certainly make a play now, possibly. It's tough with no idea if it's like 20 aliens, but or 20 spies to play like Endor Ops because they just take over your bunker. And R2 now, obviously making stuff in the battlegrounds, being a little bit more popular as well. He's been around for a while, but he hasn't been as popular. All right, let's see what's going on in this game here. We'll see if something. I'll keep the lobby open in case something better comes along, but let's see what we got. All right, so we got Joker King, who is very good at court because that's the only dark side deck he ever seems to play. But he just joined the Slack chat recently, so we're slowly but surely dragging him into our world. And Cloak, who's played in the OCS 1 or 2 months, he's got a looks like he went Tatooine careful planning here. Careful planning for Moss Eisley, and then I guess he pulled the farm. And I'm sure at some point in time he will get the Cantina out and do a Cantina shuffle. He's got Saitor for weapons and Walkling. He already grabbed the barrier. Luke missed his weapon. This is turn 2. So turn 1, Luke went down. I guess got barriered and did not get a weapon. So we're expecting that Luke is probably going to die, in which case, yeah, when Luke gets barriered the first time, not pulling the weapon is actually probably the better thing to do, because you're just going to assume that Luke is going to die, and then you can deploy a second one later and get the weapon, especially if you only have one of his saber. Like if you're running Luke's lightsaber and Anakin's lightsaber, um, you know, if you have two Luke's lightsabers, you can afford to lose one. But if you're just running one for him and like one or two other weapons, whether it's an Anakin's and a Leia's gun, which is what we seem to be seeing in a lot of these Saitor start decks, it's Luke, Anakin's, and Leia's gun. He did save a force. Battle order first strike is on the table, so he will need force to play interrupts. So if Luke gets hit here, he'll need a force to play the Hujix if he's got it, which he may need, depending on what happens here. Court not known for drawing the highest destinies, but it's gotten a little bit better. That actually is going to hit because he doesn't have the lightsaber, and because Aura, when she shoots at a Jedi, adds 1. So now Luke is forfeit 0. Darkside's drawn 3 battle destiny here. This could get ugly real quick if Cloak does not have a Hujix. He doesn't have the Odin combo, otherwise he would have used it. Jabba's going to double somebody up. So he's down 11 power right now, and we got 3 battle destiny because Django adds with a Jedi, and Proxima adds when she's with 2 other aliens. Yeah, Court is known for drawing a lot of 2s and 3s. And it does not make me a liar there, as it draws 3, 3, 2, 3, 3 for the 5 destinies total. Jedi Lev? Nope. He's going to need to save that for the Hujix, methinks. Otherwise, he's peeling 16, and this game's pretty much over. I think if you're dark side, you lose Django here. We'll see if Cloak is listening to the live stream. Yeah, if you're dark side, you lose Django here. First off, it lets you upload Fett. Secondly, unless you have another Aura Sing in hand or something, or Joker King rather. I think he's probably might be listening. He loses Jabba. Interesting. That would not be the character I would have chosen to lose. I'm sure he can just Jabba's Haven and back and whatnot, but oh, he's peeling. No Hujix. Here come 15 cards off the top. Well, this game's about to get over in a hurry. Padme, Leadership, Anakin's, EPP, Qui-Gon, JCC. There goes Luke's lightsaber. Solo, Luke, Rey, Leia. Yeah, he just lost a poop ton worth of guys. Oh, looks like someone's trying to get an OCS game in with their dark side deck. Hopefully someone will pick this one up and we can jump over to that one. In the meantime, we'll see Cloak saved a bunch of cards in his hand. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve, if anything left, to come back and counterattack here. Yes, Chris Kelly, you would be very proud of the numerous amount of foils that Joker King has acquired for this deck. So the one thing I still haven't done yet is make virtual cards into foils. I don't have I have to go through the merchant and do that whole thing to. Uh oh. We're gonna get a spaceport speeders. Does he have enough cards left? That's the tricky part. He's gonna sell it. He's gonna activate a boatload of force. But then what's he gonna do with it all? There's the spaceport speeders. It's gonna get grabbed. Ouch. Oh. Oh, that's just terrible. You don't want to draw the characters for that, that's for sure. Luke's back. Guess he didn't learn his lesson the first time. He doesn't have any force saved, so he can't fire or sing again, so at least Luke won't be forfeit zero. But Darkseid is still drawing 3 Battle Destiny here. That's what Joker King protected by losing Jabba. He gave up the, you know, extra power, doubling ability and whatnot, and I can understand that because of course Jabba's main goal is just to facilitate the deck by getting scum out and that kind of stuff. Yeah, your two options in that scenario were Jabba or Django. I would have chosen Django because A, he would upload Boba Fett. Uh, oh, he had a Luke's lightsaber as well. So he had 2 Luke's lightsabers and an Anakin's in the deck. Okay. And that 2 extra force, well, could be just enough here. Well, how much did he pay for the EOP? 1. So he got 1 extra force out of it, which is this card that's right here. But he did move some 1s around. Now, if he's got a sorry about the mess as one of the other 2 remaining cards in his hand, he'd be in excellent shape. He's still in a pretty decent spot here, because Ahsoka does subtract 1 from each of the dark side draws. If he had a sorry about the mess and removed Django from the battle, yep, there it is. Okay, Cloak's had some tricks up his sleeve. If he's going down, he's going down swinging. OCS game went live. Thank you, Mr. Turner. So there goes Django. He's going to upload Boba Fett Bounty Hunter. Now suddenly he went from 3 Destiny down to 1 because Django's removed, plus now there's not the extra alien to trigger Proxima's text. So now it's 11 to 6, and light side, they're both drawn 1. Dark side's Destiny is going to be -1 because of Ahsoka. Both those guys will be immune to that. So Aura's probably going to go here, so you can use Proxima to facilitate drawing extra aliens into hand, depending on what's in those 8 cards in Joker King's hand. If Usually, court decks tend to play two of Aura Sing anyway. Well, he's going to get rid of Proxima. So Joker King and I disagree on two different forfeits so far. Yeah, he only had 5 battle damage there, so I guess he decided to keep Aura and her forfeit around, or possibly try to set something up to shoot Luke. See what that OCS game. Hey, look, it's a no idea deck. You haven't seen anybody playing no idea. Well, there it is right there. Against Watto. All right, we're going to hop over to that. At least I'm going to load it up. It's going to take a second or two here, so. Yep, we do. It's nice to know that you're listening, Joker King. Thank you for watching the show. Then again, I don't know what's in your hand. You got 8 cards in hand, so it could be anything. But we're going to wish these players both the best of luck and keep an eye on that one in the chat and see exactly what goes down from there. It's Watto. There's Safrisa Bulba with Nachuba Na. You can pull him. Watto from reserve deck, Sebulba from reserve deck. Whole thing costs nothing. Lose 2. I gave up 1 starting effect. Free from reserve deck, free from reserve deck. Put a card from hand down, lose 2 force. If Watto had anything else going for it, and any other ways to do serious points of damage, that start would be ridiculous. Fortunately, Watto does not really, and Watto tends to fizzle out by like turn 4 in terms of the damage output. Kimura top decks 2 cards, loses Weir's Han and the Tantive. There's a Tatooine from hand. He did start Kuat. He also started quietly observing. Let's scroll back up here and see. He made Watto and Sebulba his Black Sun agents. That's clever. Now he can use Shizor's bounty, as I've been corrected and told that that's how it's pronounced in the audiobook. The Prince, his bounty. When he shows up in an episode of Rebels and they refer to him by name, we'll know for sure. Maybe Disney's going to change the pronunciation. Probably not. So now that's going to let him keep his guys split and threaten the immediate ping damage again on turn 2. Obviously, the first guy who comes down is going to get nullified, and possibly the second one if he saved 2 force. He could be running multiple barriers, as we see a barrier stacked over here, along with a command and a Vader, Emperor's Enforcer. Watto is 9-1 this month. Yeah, Watto's strong. I think Bastion's been playing Watto quite a bit this month. I had I think I had put together Ketwall's Watto list that he used in the, I want to say Outrider Cup. It was pretty strong. Gave it a whirl, but as usual, typical Watto fashion, by like turn 4, you're like, you know, you stop doing damage, and then it becomes, can you win battles? Because otherwise, your opponent just pays 2, and they're like, great, deploy your card for free. If you're putting it on Tatooine, I don't care. If you're coming over to fight me, well then that's fine. Let's see what you got. Um, his version was not running Tatooine though, so the Tatooine with the occupation certainly does give it a little bit more damage output, as now you're doing the 2 occupation damage. But between IE and the Cloud City decks, you certainly do have more occupation cancelers in play these days, or at least it's more of a consideration between the escape pod combo or the free ride Endor celebration combo to negate occupation damage. No Idea is also a bit harder of a deck, I think, to set up occupation against because they have the ability to pull ships from the reserve deck. We already saw the Tantive is lost, but there's probably a couple more floating around in there. Whether it's Profundity, Bright Hope, Gold Leader, and Gold 1, Rogue 1, Han, Chewie, Falcon V, different different combinations depending on which specific package you're going with. Bastion is 5-0 with Watto this month. Yeah. So Watto's 9-1, Bastion's 5 of those wins. So other people are 4-1 with it, which is still pretty strong. Thank you again, Adam, for compiling all of that data. Are you the other one using Watto? Is that how you've jumped out to your what did we just say? 7-1, 7-2 that you're at this month? All right, there's the Rogue One to Scarif with Jaren Webb as a pilot. This guy used to be the coolest back in the day because he was a spy pilot, so you could deploy him in like the Falcon to the Death Star. Uh, since every dark side deck started the Death Star for the 3-0 activation, uh, pretty much up until like Cloud City came out. So it was like, oh, I'll deploy him in the Falcon to the Death Star, and then I'll throw somebody else in there as a pilot or with him. And you're like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and drain him for 3 while you struggle to get all your stuff out. That costs a lot more because you're a dark side. All right, we got Ezra to the Data Vault. We also got Torrin Far. Torrin works very well with evac control. Now she can retrieve from Lost Pile. She doesn't have to stack it on evac, so it's an either or here. But when you forfeit low ability guys, which No Idea has quite a lot of, there are slightly different variations, of course, in No Idea builds. There's like 30 to 35 characters you could choose to use in your deck, and most of them run between 22 and 25. So you see little variations, whether it's more of the Rebel Trooper reinforcement, entrenchment, to cancel some drains. Or what the deal is there. All right, so Chris has got a 12 card hand and 13 force active. He's going to verify his reserve deck, looking for Watto's Chance Cube, which he is not playing. Occasionally, you'll see people actually play Watto's Chance Cube, if only because it's a free card they can put down every turn to do Watto ping damage. If your opponent didn't save 2 force, so there's no chance you're going to have to deploy the card, you'll throw something like that down. Or you get an Emperor out and you'll pull a Force Lightning and you just keep putting Force Lightning down every turn. Just keep making them lose 2 force while you put a 5 Destiny card back in your deck. Adam has not been playing Watto. Okay. I won't ask. I'm sure you still have a couple games left. I don't want to, have you tip your hand, give anything away. All right, Chris has got a Force Push, so the 11 cards in his hand weren't good enough. Now that he verified what's in his reserve deck, there's something in his Force pile that he wants, and he's going to go hunting for it. Always a good idea to try and verify whenever possible before doing once per game actions. I know we've talked about that on numerous different occasions. He'll put a card down. Kimura will lose 2 force, and then he'll use the Bulba's text, which says when your slave places a card in your used pile, you can draw a top card of your reserve deck. So you put your nice useless Destiny 5 card back, your opponent loses 2 force, and then you get to draw a better card. Hopefully a better card. He lost Menace Fades and Hujix off the top. That could come into play. No force drains, but we will get a Stalker and Ozzel. Those are both part of the Death Squadron. Usually you'll see, and there's Occupation, Death Squadron assignments floating around in 2 to 3 copies in most Watto builds, because there are a handful of ships and vehicles and characters that you can pull. And he's going to get Decree out with surface defense as well. So he's going to limit the ping damage to 1. He'll get drained for 1 and 1. So he'll lose 3. But right now he's threatening 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the Occupation. So Chris certainly setting up more damage. Force pushed for the Decree. Well, he surface defensed for the to get the Decree out of the reserve deck. Whether he force pushed for the surface defense certainly could be a thing. He may have force pushed for the Occupation as well, to set up the damage. He's also going to add Mahdi as well. So Mahdi adds 1 to the immunity of the ship, so now it's immune to less than 5. It's immune to 4 from Kuat, and then Mahdi, I hate when that happens. Mahdi adds 1 and 2 to power, plus he pilots and adds 2 to power, so he makes the ship 4 more power and 1 more immunity. I mean, he could have force pushed for the surface defense. Probably not, but I'm sure he had better options in there. And he can still save the 2 force, still threatening the bounty and the barrier that he's representing, that he's got the barrier. So he gets drained for 1. Top deck's a no escape. Top deck's a voyeur. Top deck's a Watto. Now there's something else to be very careful of here. Always keep in mind it is an option. The front side of the Watto objective says once if Watto at Watto's junkyard, opponent may use 8 force to put him in the used pile, but then dark side gets to retrieve up to 4. So you always do have that option to spend 8 force to put him back. That then flips their objective, because Watto would not be at the junkyard. It also gets around the text here that says, while Watto here, you may not draw Battle Destiny. So if you had a bunch of extra force to use, you'd spend 8, put Watto back, and then beat the crap out of whoever else happens to be left. Now that you can draw Destiny again, there's other ways around that. But just bear in mind, if you do decide to do that option, make sure you pull a retrieval shield. Because I've seen people do it where they spend the 8 force, forget to pull aim high, and then their opponent just is like, thanks, I just retrieved 4 cards. And, Alright, Kimura's going to use a Walkling to get a projection, so he can put that on one of the 2 sites. He chooses Watto's Junkyard, which I agree with. There's a possibility that this site might be contested. The Junkyard's probably not so much. Just trying to see if we can get an update regarding the store being turned back on yet. I was hoping to have it before at the end of the show at least. Yeah, immunity less than 5 is very strong with Justice because it keeps them from drawing multiple destinies and keeps you from modifying them in any way. I mean, no idea, not exactly a deck that's known for modifying destinies. Occasionally they do find ways to draw multiples, though. Um, but what they don't usually do is have things like all wings combos to draw, to still get multiples and get around Justice. We do see the Han Chewie Falcon. Okay. So he pulled Saw with make 10 men. That I'm sure Ezra here will move out. And now we got Han, Chewie, and the Falcon. And we'll see if he wants to move Rogue One over as well. Yep, he's going to flip himself back to the 0 side. Space would be where Wada would seem to be more vulnerable. They usually have tricks and things like that for the ground. And again, since the larger portion of the damage is coming from this occupation, this would be the primary target that you'd want to address. Chris does have 5 cards left in his hand. We'll assume at least one of them is another pilot that could go on the ship. The question is going to be, does he have another ship or a command or something like that? Because right now they're tied in power, but Han, Chewie, Falcon adds a destiny to total power. So it'll be a power destiny, a battle destiny. You've got Torin Far adding 1 to the total. And you've got Jaren Webb, who no rebel leader there, does not subtracting yet. But Justice again would help prevent that. Yeah, he stopped the one drain of 1 at the system. He's still going to eat the 2 for occupation, and Sebulba's still going to drain for 1. Okay, so Chris Kelly did have Watto's chance cube. All right, there you go. And again, Kimura only saved 1 force. If Watto's in a battle at a site, draw destiny. If it's odd, your total battle destiny is 0. If it's even, add 2 battle destiny. Uh, you're almost never going to actually play that card, but it is just a used 5. You can keep pulling and cycling around. Oh, there goes the evac control for Kimura, along with Ensign Chad and an Antilles maneuver. So he's not going to be able to quite do the Torin Far loop of keep getting the pilots around. He'll put the chance cube down, most likely, and cause 2 more force loss. There goes a barrier and General Kraken. Yeah, I agree, Werfs. If I were Kimura, instead of deploying the Falcon and spending 6 force doing that, and then spending 1 to move Rogue One over, I probably would have drawn 5 cards, 4 or 5 cards instead. Set something up better for later. Again, like you pointed out, he only prevented 1 damage at this point. It's unlikely that Stalker, the Stalker's not going to initiate a battle here. Kimura's back on the 0 side, so he could pull another ship next turn. Maybe, possibly. Chris didn't realize that he's on the 0 side and is looking to revert his Lord Sidious play. He's wondering why Lord Sidious cost him 8. It's because he moved everybody around and put himself back to the 0 side. And Andy is nice enough to accommodate that request. And instead, he will add Tarkin as a pilot. So Tarkin's going to add a 2nd battle destiny. He's also going to spend 2 with Kuat. Get Mustafar out while he's pulling that. I'm sure he'll see if his castle is in there. I'm guessing it was. I do like this activation package, though. You don't need to run any extra interrupts. No accelerates, no sonic bombardments or anything like that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. One for you is 11. Since a good portion of your cards are probably, I mean, these guys deploy for 0 on turn 1. And then a good portion of your other cards are going to hit the table for 2 force. 11's pretty decent, especially when it's automatically all pulled. You figure your opponent gives you 2 unless you're playing against Throne Room. Yep. So he'll add Tarkin. He'll draw a couple cards, and now he's sitting pretty comfortable. It'll be a drain of 2 at the beach, 1 ping with Stardust. So again, Chris will lose 3 cards. But he's been able to reload his hand a little bit. Sebulba also adds 1 activation. Well, a Tatooine attrition against opponent is +1 here, and your force generation is +1. Okay, so there you go. There's an extra force activation. So now you're giving yourself 12 while Sebulba's on the table. You can imagine he doesn't spend a whole lot of time on the table. Top deck's a Watto and an Imperial Command. So that's 2 Wattos down, 1 left on the board. Watto times 3 is pretty standard in most lists. So if this Watto that's on the table dies, or even gets sent back. Now, I don't know if Chris deployed him from a hand. I don't know if we can scroll back up that far. We still can. He deployed Watto from reserve deck, so he did use his reserve deck pull already on Watto, and the other 2 are dead. So it's highly unlikely he would have a Watto in hand. So if Watto did get put back, I'm not saying that's necessarily the right play at this point, but just if Watto were to leave the table in any way, whether he gets killed or sent to the used pile, it would be a bit challenging for Chris to get him back out. And he gets the docking bay, checks what's in his reserve deck, see what ship he finds. It's the Gold Leader in Gold 1. And that is going to get a barrier. Now, if he's still thinking about battling, the weapons display shield would not cause force loss, because that only causes force loss when characters are excluded from battle. Pretty confident that's how that's worded. And even if he deploys a character aboard Gold Leader as a pilot or a passenger, the Gold Leader would be excluded from the barrier. The character aboard would be excluded by the game state, not specifically by the opponent. So therefore, that also would not trigger any force loss. Chris does have the 2 force saved, so he can still draw the 2 destiny with Tarkin. He's immune to less than 5. We're going to get a Leia Organa. If with an Imperial Leader, add 1 destiny to power or attrition instead. No qualifier about having to be at a site or anything like that. So he could add a destiny to power, plus Han Chewie adds a destiny to power, and he could just hope to outpower him. Or he could add the destiny to attrition, plus the battle destiny draw. Kimura's just going to stand fast. And draw a handful. We'll see if he saves at least 2 force to at least bluff the possibility that he's going to spend it. At least make, there he is. At least make Chris put a real card down, not just put the chance cube down again. There's the no escape combo. I'm sorry, the escape pod combo, which will get grabbed. That'll prevent the occupation damage for the remainder of the turn. So it'll just be the drain of 1 from Sebulba. Chris will have to put down a. This is where you get into that cat and mouse bluffing game as to whether or not he thinks Kimura is going to use the 2 force or not. Given how many cards he's already lost, it could go either way at this point. He's not in a position where he can't afford to lose 2 force, especially if he thinks that it could be something big like another Star Destroyer or something that could come out for cheap. So you'll put something down. Like he could put the Sidious down because you wanted to deploy that guy anyway, and if he gets deployed for free, and then you just have to pay 2 first, the free text would get around the +2 on the objective. So you could put Sidious, get him out for free to here. Thanks for the foils mention. Oh, did you end up winning that game, Joker? Let's see if we can see. Nope, too far down. Yeah, you had a pretty good lead after the 15 overflow he took on that, or 16 overflow he took on that battle. But obviously, it looked like he was clearing your audience chamber with the Luke Ahsoka play. But that was pretty much all he had in the tank. He cleared me on the AC, so I set up at the farm and Tatooine system. Yeah. That's kind of what you do then. You just give him the audience chamber and just go spread out and just trade damage for a while because you're already 15 cards ahead. Alright, he's going to put a card down. And he's going to lose the 2 anyway, so he bluffed. But he forced his opponent to at least put a respectable card down. Chris could have bluffed too. That could have been the Watto's chance cube again. And he will draw a different card off the top with Sebulba. And now he's got 15 force to spend. He already Tarkin's bountied to take the best card out of his force pile. Now he's going to peek at the top card of his own reserve deck, which you can do when Tarkin's bounty is on Tarkin. So now he's going to see, there we go, there's a Thrawn. He'll add a Battle Destiny, so now there's 3 Destiny getting drawn. It was not Sidious, okay. I was kind of curious if that was going to be the card he would have used to bluff with, but Sidious is strong in this situation. Sidious can also get hurt pretty bad in this situation. And while we have a lull in the action, of course, I mentioned Memorial Day earlier here in America. Special shout out to all of our veterans, and hopefully you do not have any comrades, close friends that you've lost in service. That, but thank you to all of the men and women of our military who have served over the last 150 years. We'll go back to the Civil War. After that, we weren't really. The paperwork gets a little sketchy after you go further back than that. I'm just being silly now. All right, so there's a Death Squad assignment to take the Executor into hand. So maybe that's the card he bluffed with. He was trying to get a free Executor. But that is one of the ships that you can pull with the Death Squadron assignment. I want to say it's Stalker, Tyrant, Executor, and then it's like Marquand in Blizzard, whatever. And then you got a couple characters, Hazel and one of the Piets, and there's a couple other guys you can get with that. There's like 7 or 8 different cards you can pull with that. So it's a good specific deck helper. All right, so Kimura plays evac control, stack 3 cards, his last 3 cards, and it's a 4, a 5, and a 6. Yeah, maybe you should have checked for like a docking bay or something before deploying evac control. Just saying. We talk about verifying things before you do things. If one of those is a destiny to power and the other one's a destiny to attrition, and the worst case scenario there, you've got you add the 6 to power, you get to 27, and then you get 9 in attrition, which clears 2 characters off the Star Destroyer. That's even if he justices. If he doesn't justice and he draws 3 destiny on his own, he does have the 3 force available to pay for it, so he probably would not be justicing in that situation. No forfeit bonuses. So 9, 10 with Torin Far. So you couldn't just throw away Azulmati and call it a day. You'd be losing other stuff. The other problem is, of course, is by doing evac control, he can't even battle Sidious now. I mean, he can battle him just to outpower him if he wants to go that route. And just be like, I've got 15. And you'd be like, the best you can have really is probably, what, 10? If he draws a 5. Probably not a lot of 6s in the deck. Maybe there's an Emperor in there, but. And we'll get a Jin to the castle, knowing that the Vader stacked on Justice makes that play a little easier. No Chirrut to recycle. That would obviously be a big play. But with the smaller hand, it does not have it. And then he's going to draw and just save 1. So by not battling that turn, Kimura did nothing to change the board state. He just kind of reinforced some things. I mean, he put Jin down to threaten a little extra damage, but he did nothing to slow his opponent's damage down. So he's going to eat 3 this turn, 2 from Occupation, 1 from Sebulba, and he didn't save 2 force. So he's going to eat 2 more cards from the Watto objective. So he's going to lose 5 total this turn. He's got 12 and 5 in hand. He's going to be down to just 12 life force after this turn's over. And Chris Kelly's going to check his own destinies and find out what he's got. Apparently they're bad. And Kimura agrees. Yeah, he lost 4 force to evac control. Yep. The effect, and then the 3 cards that are going to get stacked there that may never really come into play. Shoot, at this point, you almost want to just move Sidious away and just be like, no, what? I'm good. I'm just going to go sit over here in this little tunnel. I don't really care. I'm ahead on life force. I'll eat your little piddly Draina too. Chris does activate 2 more force after checking his destinies and finding out how bad they were. So I guess he decided he was not going to be battling in space. Or swinging any weapons or anything. I don't know what else he might have that might be weapon related. See if he wants to draw the last card with Sebulba after he causes this 2 more force loss. There goes the 7 off the top, and a Vanden Willard from hand. We also lost a Blount from hand, a Baze off the top of the reserve deck, and a Luke, a second Luke. Chris will draw that final card, so he's not going to be battling this turn, and I don't blame him. There's no reason for him to. You know, he's ahead 20 to 9 in terms of remaining cards down. Pays 14 force because Osel subtracts 1. It's in his little text. No, where's Osel? Subtracts 1 from deploy cost of each of your capital starships at same system. Osel has that text. Admiral Piet has that text as well. So if you can get the 2 of them together, you can get your ships out for 2 force cheaper. -3 if they're going to Kessel. -4 if Tarkin's there. It's not good. It's still not. You have to just stack all your stuff up at Kessel where they're not going anyway. Then you get your Admiral's order out and make all your pilots, your Admirals deploy for -2. Then you got one really awesome ship with hyperspeed 3. I would land at the Tatooine sites and move back to the other system. Can't believe Sebulba was never challenged. That could, of course, also come down to the lack of experience playing against Watto. It's not the most popular Darkside deck. It's creeped up a little bit here this month, as we heard earlier from Adam's figures. But Andy may just not be familiar with playing against Watto and knowing where to attack it. If he's nervous about, all right, if I go after Sebulba, the first guy's going to get barriered, the second guy's going to get or bountied, and the second guy's going to get barriered. So I need 4 guys realistically, and he may not have had 4 characters in hand that he could commit to the ground all at once. Maybe. Obviously, then you pull weapons display. The 2 get excluded. They're separate exclusions, so you cause 4 force loss by doing that. But and then, obviously Sebulba draws a destiny. Actually, Sebulba doesn't even draw by himself, does he? Nope. It's not in Chuba. Maybe it was the old Sebulba. Yeah, I think it was the legacy Sebulba used to draw by himself. This one obviously has different game text. So, not even getting a battle destiny there. Maybe there's like a Greedo, and even he wouldn't help. So, or a Tempest Scout 6 or something that comes down as a react. That would have given him enough ability. He could pop Decree if he needs to. I mean, more than likely he's just going to gick it, but you still got to make him do it. You still got to make him do it. I agree, Worfs. You still got to make him do it. Even if those guys don't get to battle. Okay, great. Now he's got to either back Sebulba up with some of these other characters in his hand, or move Sebulba away. Luke's going to retrieve one, get back Van and Willard. All right, so they both have the option to pick up cards here off evac or justice. So if there is a space battle, both sides will draw one destiny. Light side's also going to get a power. And most likely an attrition destiny. We do get a verify, and apparently it's pretty decent. I think that'll convince Andy. I mean, battling is his only option at this point anyway. The question is just going to be is can he battle in two places? There you go. There's the weapons display shield. So if Sidious excludes somebody, that's clutch. Because this is what Lord Sidious does when he's alone. If alone, an opponent just initiated battle here, it may exclude one character of ability less than 6 present. So you exclude, well, you would if you exclude Ezra, then he has enough ability here, whatever, to draw. So we had to put the third guy down. All right, first things first, we battle in space. Leia adds to attrition. Gold leader and gold 1 is out. Chris is going to pick up the card. Let me pick up the Vader. Off of Justice. He's only drawn one destiny anyway. Nope, he's going to take the command. Command's probably only useful to pull somebody at this point. I don't really see an opportunity between when he's going to want to use Justice and his opponent's going to want to use Evac. Yeah, he is going to use it to pull somebody. And it will get grabbed just because at this point, why not? Yep. I'm with you 100%, Worfs. You get through the barrier of the bounty. The weapons display damage caused 4. You make him move off that site or clear that site, and then you're not getting drained for 1 or taking the 1 ping from the occupation. That's gotten smaller. Yeah, all good things. As long as you have at least 3, if not 4 characters. You probably need 4 guys, I think, to do it right. And this looks a little bit more space heavy. I mean, he's got wedge and ship in there too, so it's certainly possible. He may just have a few less characters. And that may have made it a little bit more difficult for him to have that many in hand. Or maybe he just felt like a different line, a different strategy line, like he was going to need those guys to be pilots and stuff in space. I don't know. Did Torn Far just add 2? 2 of piloting a transport. Because this is a transport ship. Yep, look at that. Obviously thinking of transports and thinking of like Bright Hope and those types of transports, but Rogue One is a transport as well, so that adds 2 to the total. Okay. So Chris Kelly has 11 attrition to satisfy. might be... Nope, he's going to go Thrawn Ozzel for 11. So he loses one Battle Destiny that he's probably never going to get to add anyway. Uh, Jaren Webb gets forfeited. Torn Far should be able to use her game text here. It's a retrieve action, though, and Secret Plans is out, so he would have to pay to do it. So he's either retrieving from the Lost Pile and putting it back in reserve deck, or it's stacking him. And he does opt to retrieve. So I guess if he decided to stack it on evac, that would not be considered retrieval. So he wouldn't have had to pay for it. But he does get one card back in his life force. But again, nothing saved. So he's still going to eat 5 damage this turn. 1 from Sebulba, 2 from Occupation, 2 from the objective. Chris always saved just 1 force. He would have had to pull Oppressive to make the bounty free. Yeah, that's true. If the first guy comes down and gets barriered, and then he pulls Oppressive, so then he can get the bounty through the second time, that'd be the order he'd have to do it in. You're right. It's a good point. Again, if he... or a Dark Time or something to activate one. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He may not have been able to play both stoppers. He may not have had the barrier. It's been stacked on Justice since the first turn. Who knows how many he had. But in the meantime, Chris Kelly will just pile on the damage and peel 5 more cards off of Andy's life force totals. DVP is now following. Thank you very much for coming to the channel and for following us. We always appreciate new follows and new subscriptions. Of course, if you have Amazon Prime, make sure to link it to your Twitch account. You get 1 free subscription each month. Use it on your favorite streamer. You just have to manually do it every month. If that happens to be us, that's great. We appreciate the support at the Players Committee. It's free to you, but we get a benefit out of it. Now he's going to lose 2 more. We are still doing our Twitch subscriber incentive as well. 3 months is the Grand Inquisitor foil. 6 months of subscribing is Ezra Bridger, and 12 months is I want that map objective foiled. You just have to send me a screenshot when you hit either the 6 or 12-month marks, and I'll make sure to get those mailed out to you. You can send me a screenshot at 3 months as well. I might be able to get the Grand Inquisitor mailed out sooner. Especially if you make a purchase through the Players Committee store or you participate in the OCS, where I have foils to be mailed out soon anyway. Alright, so Chris has got a Tyrant. He's going to verify his destinies one more time. All right, and we got an EPP Mara coming to back up Sidious. Now again, Chris is in the driver's seat. He's out damaging his opponent, and he's ahead on life force to begin with. So he doesn't necessarily need to initiate any battles here. But if he finds himself with a golden opportunity, certainly no reason not to take advantage of it. The beach, if he's going to battle anywhere, it would be the beach, depending on what his destinies are. Uh, you know, Mara could hit maybe this guy or Saw, make him forfeit 0. He's not flipped, so he doesn't get the forfeit bonus, and he can't cancel anything. But yeah, he doesn't need to battle here. All he, bad. The only thing that can happen in a battle would be something unexpected that could change the outcome of the game for him. He's in a good spot. He doesn't need to risk making any type of big changes. Especially because at this point in time, Kimura can't really even afford to battle in two places, let alone deploy a guy and battle. So Chris is in a very much a run out the clock kind of situation here. He's ahead. He's doing more damage. I mean, right now, Kimura is doing 1 damage from Stardust, and that's it. While Chris consistently is doing 5 damage. Certainly looks to be in the driver's seat. And again, just going to run out the clock here. And all right, Andy spends the 8 and puts Watto back. But he didn't pull aim high, so his opponent gets to retrieve 4 cards. He doesn't have any shield pulls left. I'm sure this game is about to end here. That was more of a ceremonial victory, ceremonious victory, and a moral victory, we'll call it. He gets back a Dark Time, Ozil Thrawn, and an extra occupation. And that was his entire turn. Ready, go. He does cut the damage significantly by doing that. He loses 1 less to occupation, and he doesn't lose the 2 from the objective. So instead of losing 5, he'll lose 2. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Chris Kelly's still going to win this game, though. I know, it's very brave of me to go out on a limb like that. I try not to pick favorites or play favorites when I'm, doing commentary on these games, but just speculating, just based on the board position and life force counts and everything like that. Real deep analysis that Chris Kelly is going to pull out a victory in this matchup. Maybe another Watto in hand. That would be 4 Wattos in the deck, which seems unlikely. He could have 4. He's already lost 2 in early drains that came off the top of the deck, and he used the once per game text to pull the first Watto. So it would be surprising to find out he's got a 4th Watto. And Darkseid doesn't have the same cool text on their Sith Fury that like they do on Jedi Levitation, where they can just swap to get a guy right back. But he does have Marquand and Blizzard 6, who I believe is also, like I mentioned, yep, Death Squadron. One of the other things that you can pull. Has he got a trample here? Because that would be awesome. He forgets what his destinies were, so he doesn't have Watto to look for a chance cube. So he's going to. He is going to battle anyway. These would be all the cards he just retrieved. In the same order he retrieved them in. Oh, he did shuffle. He did shuffle. So he draws the 1 and the 4. It does get Odin comboed, so he'll keep his forfeit. And there should be probably an Ozzel coming up for Battle Destiny here, which could be bad. Overload! He's got a 50-50 shot, right? Kimura picks up a card off of evac. Pick up the Vader, Chris. Pick up the Vader. There you go. Should have done that the first time around. Or sooner, rather. Go kick the crap out of Jyn Ursa when you cancel their game text. The Hujix is in the lost pile. Maybe they play 2. I don't know. I'm a little out of date on my no idea deck builds. There's the Ozzel for Destiny. Ouch. Should have had the Overload. Nobody has a weapon. All right. I think we are getting the store turned back on as we speak. And we can cross our fingers and make sure nothing breaks. If it breaks again, I quit. I'm just telling you right now. I'm just putting everything on eBay and I'm done. Alright, so the walker dies. Only the guy who got hit dies. That battle really did nothing to advance the game state. Mara moves away. That I like. Leave Sidious. He can't afford to deploy anybody in battle that would cause any significant damage. You can take the 2 from... If he battles you, you exclude Ezra. You take the 2 damage, but then you kill Saw. He just threatens another portion of ground damage there. And he shuttles down Tarkin, so he gets the occupation damage going again. If he gets battled in space, Justice, Evac is still going to come into play. If Andy draws well enough, if he draws low enough, he loses the Tyrant. If he draws higher enough, he loses the Executor. Meanwhile, he still does another handful of damage next turn. He's going to dump the pilots as well. Interesting. See what he could have done, really try and stretch the board. Leave Mahdi, move the tyrant away. Just commit to the fact that if he battles you, you're going to lose the executor to cover the 15 damage you're likely going to take. And then he's going to have to split his ships up to stop the drain of 2 at Scarif. And that would have been an interesting option. Alright, so I hear the store is online. Hey guys, is this stuff worth anything? Yeah, exactly. I just take a picture of these boxes sitting over here on my floor that I've been going through and be like, hey, is this pile of Jedi Luke's worth anything? I got a bunch of Rebel planners too. Luke retrieves one in space. I'll give Andy credit. He's stretching this game out a little bit. Let's see. Let's open a generic window here and go test the store out. The store is back up and online. Make sure nothing's priced at like $50 when it's supposed to be 50 cents. Everything looks to be priced accordingly. Lots of new cards available, all sorted by set. This is exciting. I want some crappy meme of Jake Lloyd from the first one. It's working! Yeah, it's working now. Let's make sure it stays working. Alright. Let's see what we got. Aura shoots Jyn Erso in the face. They both draw a destiny. Got to get Jyn out of there now, so it's the only play he's got. He has to battle there, because if he doesn't, Vader is just going to get deployed, Jyn's text is going to get canceled, and she's going to get overflowed. Thanks for stopping by, Werfs. Enjoyed the feedback and the commentary during the show. This show certainly has run a little longer than I would have expected, trying to watch this entire game. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. I'll give it 2 more minutes, because then I have to go too. It's a work night, and it's East Coast time here. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this lovely Monday evening. I'll tell you, it's been a hell of a weekend, but it looks like all the hard work is going to pay off. And always happy about that. So, of course, keep continuing to message me if you see anything funky going on with the store. I appreciate the guys who, did chime up and tell me a couple things were wrong last week, which led to us finding everything that was going on and shutting it down. And that was a Kimura battle. We get what we get. Of course, don't forget to tune in Wednesday on the Hollow Theater. Jerry and Dan and Jerry uh, will be interviewing lead designer for the next virtual set, Goss Zielstra. And there you go. They're going to call it and wrap it up. That's going to do it for my show as well. Thank you guys very much for tuning in again. Be sure and get your remaining OCS games in the next 5 days while you still can. Continue staying safe out there from the coronavirus. And hopefully life will be back to normal sometime soon and we can have a live event in person again. Maybe this summer. If not this summer, then at least by October for Worlds. But send me some game replay links as well. Hopefully, if we choose your replay link and show it next week, I'll have a special foil prize for you as well. So send me some good games to review, and we'll get you a foil prize sent out. But thank you very much. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you back here next Monday.